Trucking TV. My name's Chris Gosling. We're back in business in a kind of smaller way than we used to be before. As you recall, we used to present and produce a lot of video online, but we're not able to do that anymore because the running costs got away from me. So in reality, we couldn't really do the video that we wanted to do to show you, and to show the world really, what a driver's life is like. So, cheers for the coffee, which I need because I've been out filming and it's cold out there today. Okay, well, the story that got everybody yesterday was that story from the A14 Shell service station at Ipswich, just by the A14, where a vehicle, a trailer, was robbed out on Thursday night. 15 morning pops. Good Lord, I'm not your dad, Chris. 15 pallets of TV sets were taken. Now, I have no idea of the value. I suppose there were probably, I don't know, what would you say, 10 or 20, maybe 20 TV sets on a pallet. So that's maybe, I don't know, 300 TV sets, maybe 200 quid each, 60 grand. Hey, that's a big robbery. That's a serious amount of goods stolen. I've no idea if that figure is correct, 60 grand. It may have been 100 grand. It may have been 20 grand. I've no idea any more than you have. Although I suppose some people have an idea. And the story got a lot of interest. One of the things I'd like to do with Trucking TV as we go down the line now into the future is to start to do more and more stories that reveal the state of our world as far as drivers are concerned to the general public. So the more information you send through to me about recent crimes, things that have hit truck drivers, all kinds of stuff I'm very happy to get from you, especially if it's got pictures, especially if you can tell me a story about what happened. I'd love to have that kind of stuff, because we're going to do things a bit different to the way we have been doing them in the past. So in other words, if we get more stories like the story we got yesterday, the story about the Ipswich service station, well, I'm here to tell you that nobody has reported it. To get the police side of the story, we had to chase the police. We actually had to chase after the police to get the information about the robbery. They weren't really kind of aware of it. You know, they had a report of it, a policeman had been to see the scene. But other than that, honestly, they weren't going to tell the story to the world. So we're going to with Trucking TV. So the more news stories, I'm aiming to do a fairly serious news story every day, maybe twice a day, if I can get the information from you about robberies, about damage to vehicles, about all kinds of stuff that goes on in drivers' worlds. Anything that's newsworthy, we will publish. But what we're going to do with it after that is, A, we'll publish it for you so you know about it, but B, we're going to tell the local media where that event happened, and we're going to also try and tell the national media. God knows whether we'll get any feedback, but the reality is that if someone just had away, let's say 50 grand's worth of TVs out of the back of a truck near Ipswich, that's a story that should be going in the Ipswich paper, on the Ipswich, whatever local radio they've got, and stuff like that, and it should be going about the place so that people know about it. So that is what we are going to do. We're going to publish more and more stories like that tell serious stories about the world of transport in reality. So the more you can send to me, the better. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about this afternoon, I want your feedback on this really seriously, after I've slurped my mug of tea, coffee, is about this inside job thing. Do you know, I don't believe it, huge numbers of drivers, on the bit about the Ipswich robbery, huge numbers of drivers have said, oh, it's an inside job, it's an inside job. Well, do you know, I think that's complete rubbish. And I'll tell you the reasoning why. If you're a driver and someone comes up to you and says, I want to rob your stuff out of your van tonight, DP Wood, excellent outfit, let me tell you, they give away mugs. Okay, if you are a truck driver, so you are, if you're a truck driver and you're driving a truck with a curtain side trailer, and someone says to you, "What you got in the trailer, mate?" What are you going to say? I don't know, rubbish, really. If someone comes up to you and says, if you've got stuff that's worth a lot of money in the back of your trailer, we're going to have a look and we're going to take it tonight, and I'll give you, I don't know, a couple of grand to keep your trap shut. What are you going to say to that one? Are you going to think about it? I wonder how many people get that kind of approach. I don't think many do, to be honest with you. But I think that what people think is, of course, someone came and offered me a couple of grand, I'd take it. Would you? Good question, isn't it, this one? Good afternoon, Dave McMillan and Dave Washburn. Would you take that couple of grand, or 5 grand, or whatever the hell he was offering, to turn a blind eye when your wagon was burgled that night? You know, I don't think most people sensibly would. I think most people sensibly would probably ring their bosses, or the fuzz, or whatever. The reasoning being, we've all been in positions, I think, in life where I'm just going to tap my phone, camera, do something, do what I want you to do. Doesn't want to. So I'm having focusing trouble, but there you go, one of those things. Someone comes up to you and offers you that money to have your vehicle robbed. What are you actually going to say? I think mostly, as I said, you're going to walk away from it. Good morning, Pedro. Nice to hear from you, mate. You're going to walk away from it and say, forget it. The reasoning? Well, the reasoning is this. If someone came up to me and said, here's a couple of grand, do something illegal, I might say yes. I don't know. Hasn't happened. No one's come up and offered to bribe me to, I don't know, do what to a load of truck drivers. But if someone came up to me and I was a truck driver and offered me that, I would think very seriously about it, maybe, if I was short of a couple of grand. But what I would also think is this. I would also think that if I took the couple of grand, I'd be 2 grand better off. But if anyone found out about it, I'd be out of a bloody job for the rest of my life, because no one else in the haulage industry is going to give me a job, are they? Are they? Do you think? I don't think so. I think no one else in the haulage industry is going to give me a job, and I'm going to be going around going, bloody hell, I haven't got a job. And how worthwhile is that from your point of view, from my point of view? I don't know. I don't think that many people, many UK drivers would take that money, because I think they'd be scared about the future, and I would be. And I think that would be sensible scared. Andrew, yeah, I mean, Andrew James Lee, I take your point. I take your point about the foreign gowns. I don't have an issue with that. But what about all the English drivers that are robbed? That's the question. What about all the English drivers that where their wagons are burgled? What do you think? I don't know. I just think blaming the driver is kind of an easy thing to do. I would think that everybody wants to blame the driver anyway. I should think that when the police are involved, the driver is at the top of their list of suspects, bluntly. I should think where the employer is concerned, I should think the driver is at the top of the list of suspects. Have you been burgled? Has your wagon been burgled? And what did your boss say about it? And what would have happened if it had been burgled a couple of nights later or a couple of weeks later? That's what I want to ask. I don't think this thing about the inside job, this talking currently about British drivers, really then, guys, I don't think that's really a go at all. I see what you mean about the robbers being foreign, Andrew. Yeah, I think that's probably true. Yeah, I think that's probably true. But sorry, I was just having a read, and I'm gonna get back and have another little read, because there's some interesting points being made here. If you're watching on Facebook, there are some very worthwhile points to look at. Okay, good point, says Andrew. I meant the robbers are foreign. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and Chris says that It doesn't normally refer to the inside job, doesn't normally refer to the drivers. There are many people involved in consignments prior to the driver carrying. That's a very true, very good point as well, Chris. So there's lots of good points being made here, and I think it's really important that we start to carry this one out. I think the reality is that, yeah, what Dave Washburn is saying is true, the exploratory cuts, etc. I see what Dave means as well. You need maybe an extra truck to carry stuff away, or a few cars. In the instance of the thing where they were down at the Orwell Crossing fuel station, then it was said that there was a big gang of guys and that they walked through some kind of path to another location. There's a picnic site just over the back. They walked through to there. Is that possible? I don't know. I guess it probably is. I imagine it probably is possible. I don't know. Okay, what else have we got? So, Daniel, I'm not sure how you say your last name, Daniel O'Kins? I don't know. It's the taxpayer pays in the end. I don't know, mate. Do you? I'm not convinced. Good afternoon to you anyway. That's really interesting. There's a lot of interesting stuff coming up here. And Pedro, yeah, I think you're right, Ped. It's number one suspect has got to be the driver. And number one suspect is the driver, and that's from both one, the police point of view, and from two, it's from the employer's point of view. I reckon a lot of drivers who have to say my wagon's been robbed do so with serious concerns in their mind about, will I get the bloody sack? And I also think that if it happened to you twice, I'd be very dubious about your chances of staying with the firm, wouldn't you? Really, wouldn't you? I think you would. I think you'd be very doubtful that you're going to keep in employment with that employer. And if you got the sack and someone said, well, that's because he robbed his own wagon, would you ever get a job as a haulage driver again? Shouldn't bloody think so, would you? So I think all the inside job is really interesting. I think we've really got to start looking at this one and talking about it and getting it out in the open and getting the public involved and making the police do rather more than what they do. Andrew James Lee, you're going to work, you poor bugger. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to go and watch the Grand Prix in a little while. But the truth is out there is the truth, and we here on Trucking TV want to find it. What I want to do, guys and ladies, heavens, there's a load of them out there. What I want to do is get as much information as we can into Trucking TV. We will publish what you send us. Send us pictures, send us information about where robberies have happened, what value of goods have been stolen, etc. Anything else you like as well. I'm very happy to publish stuff, and let's get this story out of here and into the wider world. Truck drivers, haulage companies, all those people in the haulage industry whose lives depend on this. Everybody knows what goes on and sees what happens. So let's tell the stories to the world at large, because at the moment we've got people like the police saying, oh, well, it's minor crime. We can't be asked to come out. Well, you need 15 pallets of bloody televisions. Is that minor crime? It's like more than you and I and 8 other blokes earn in a year. It's, how much are we talking about? We're talking about possibly 100 grand, which is, 4 drivers' wages for a year, isn't it? It's a lot of money. And that's not minor crime, chaps. Officers, that's not minor crime. That's heavy duty, serious crime, and the police need to start taking account for it. And if we can get it out there, to the wider world, then there will be stuff going on. Okay, let's just take a look at a few more bits and pieces. My goodness, Chris, that's an interesting comment. So they knew what containers they wanted to steal, etc. That's really quite concerning. Dave, right, you're going to start minimising overnight parking with your company. I can understand that, Dave. Pedro, I understand what you're saying, although we had a comment on an earlier post, pardon me, from a guy called Harry Parkhurst, I think, or Pankhurst, who was saying that one of the things often about robbery situations is that wagons are parked in noisy and potentially really disturbed kind of surroundings. There's some interesting stuff coming out here, guys, I have to tell you. One driver said on another post, he was saying that actually he sleeps with earplugs, and he said the amount of movement in his trailer and tractor unit is considerable, especially when parked on a lay-by, because of course every time another wagon comes past you 2 foot away, your whole vehicle moves sideways, so you're woken up, or you get used to that pattern of sleeping. And it's true too in a lot of motorway stops. There's vehicles on the move all the time, so if you woke up every time, you wouldn't get much kip at all. So I guess a lot of people drive through it, and that's an interesting one. Okay. Chris, a couple of comments from Chris which are worth reading. Yeah, use bottle jacks. Thieves in a robbery used bottle jacks to stabilise the trailer so the driver wouldn't feel the thing. That's a bloody good idea from their point of view, isn't it? Because it does mean that element of risk has been overcome. And Chris also says he was gassed and robbed a few years ago, and that wasn't an inside job. Yeah, I think you're right, Chris. I think there are so few inside jobs from the driver's point of view, I bet you can count them on the fingers of one hand every year. I really don't believe this inside job business as far as drivers are concerned, because it's your job, it's your livelihood. Who wants to lose that? Ladies and gentlemen, this is Trucking TV. We're doing bits and pieces as we can. I don't have a great deal of money to spend on Trucking TV, but I'll do my best to try and get more and more news out there. We won't be doing the features we used to do, but if you like what we do, give us a like on Facebook, give us a look on YouTube, whatever you like, and keep in touch. Send us your stories. The more I get from you, the more we will publish, and we'll try and bring some of the stuff that damages the haulage industry into the public viewpoint. That's all I've got to say. Give us a like, keep in touch, spread the word, tell your colleagues and friends that Trucking TV is out there. We are still doing the best we can, and I will, as they say, somewhere or other, see you soon. I wish you all the best, have a great weekend, and take care, ladies and gentlemen.